All right, boys and girls, welcome to Jets Talk. My name is Ryan. I'll be your pilot tonight. Tonight we're talking a little undrafted free agent action. I want to talk to the chat, talk to you guys. Maybe we'll do a little call-ins or something like that. But I want to basically do my own research on the UDFAs. We'll go through the list. I've seen the names pop up. Admittedly, I'm going to be learning a lot about this while I'm going through it with you guys. So if you have any valuable information, Dakota, I see you dropping some interesting notes in there. I'll throw that, throw some comments on the board. I'm missing my E over here. Let me try to turn on my E. Boom! Wow! Like magic. Boys and girls. All right. So, what are you guys talking about in the chat? Jake, nice to see you. Isaac, nice to see you. Get my comments on screen. Give me 1 second here. I think I'd have this set up prior to coming live, but we're doing it on the fly, so that's all right. So Dakota says, Arian Smith, top 5 speed in the league, 𝐿-worthy-Gibbs-Williams. Is he top 5? I mean, he didn't even break the record, and I'm pretty sure the record holder is still in the league. So, Cisco, Moore, Adams, Monroe, Simpson, unrestricted free agent, Chuck Clark, Jalen Mills, 2025, safety room. Jets could have drafted Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, Abdul Carter, plus more, but you know what? The whining pricks would not be satisfied. Oh, the Jets could have. Oh, hey, look, you know what, Dakota? There are a lot of people that are irritated with how every team handles their business around draft time. You log on to Twitter and people are bitching and moaning about 4th-round picks and 5th-round picks. I've got my gripes with certain things, but by and large, I think the draft was all right. It's hard to grade a draft because I don't think you really can grade it with any degree of accuracy until maybe 2 years out. Now, of course, you can go based on the value of the prospect selected, which I think is important. I think when you talk about, the Jets and needing a left tackle and needing a guard, it kind of all falls into the same analysis of evaluation, right? Like if you need those positions, Jets need a starter at both of them, and you get both of them through the first 2 rounds, seemingly better value than the other ones. Like if you had gone Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren, you're probably not getting a very good tackle in the second round because of the run on tackles from the first round. And if you try to wait on a tight end, wait later into the 3rd round, the run on tight ends happen. So you probably aren't getting a very good tight end in the 3rd round then. So I've really, I've liked what the Jets did so far. I think, the undrafted free agents make me a little bit more, I don't want to say optimistic. Optimistic is probably not like the right word to say on it. But I think there's some interesting ads in undrafted free agency that I think we were maybe hoping to get in the draft that didn't shake out that way. We did bring in a kicker, which is nice. Obviously, Green Bean and myself, Matt, we're talking about drafting a kicker on day 3 through round 6, just to have the 4-year cheap contract. But getting it as an undrafted free agent afterwards, probably a better use of resources than burning a pick on it. But that's all right. So without further ado, let's jump into each of these prospects, and I'm going to read the breakdowns that I've seen. This is from the Jet Press, and we can kind of dive into their statistics and stuff. Although I should probably pull up. Let me see if I can do PFF on here. I probably need to do a different one. You know what? I'll do Draft Buzz. Just to give me an idea of what's going on. All right. So let's see. Running list of Jets undrafted free agents. Quentyn Skinner, wide receiver out of Kansas. The Jets' first undrafted free agent signing of 2025 is a towering Kansas wide receiver, Quentyn Skinner, a 6'4", 203-pounder. Skinner is a lanky downfield threat who averaged over 22 yards a catch during his senior season. The Jets are giving Skinner $185,000 in guarantees at a not so insignificant sum. That's not a not so insignificant sum of money for a player who was projected to be a priority free agent. He'll look to crack a thin wide receiver room for the New York Jets. So let's see if I can pull this up without jacking up my screen. Give me one moment. I'm going to try and do this one more time. Again, doing this on the fly. Oh, geez. Let's see if I can pop this out. Do that. Do a little bit of boom. Look at this action. All right. Gonna do this as best I can, so bear with me. All right. We're going to look at Draft Buzz. What is our name we're looking up? We are looking up Quentyn Skinner. Good start. Let's see if we can find Skinner. Oh, great. Doesn't show up. All right. So we're going to go to PFF. We're going to do this way. All right, Quentyn Skinner. We'll go through. Let's look at his offensive stats first. So again, with everything, Pro Football Focus, you got to take it with a grain of salt. This is how I'm going to do some research here. And it may work out nice for us, may not. We'll see. Without me diving into a crazy ton of tape, this is what we're going to do. All right. So we obviously know the height. They got him listed a little bit lighter and a little bit taller than the previous regime, or than the previous scouting report we just looked at. Looks like relatively... Okay, let's go to receiving. Receiving's probably where we want to be anyway. He's been pretty decent in the drop category outside of, looks like 2 games. He had a not-so-great drop. So where's his drop percentage? So that's why. He had 1 drop in each of those games. Had a total of 557 yards this past year. Looks like he's basically sitting around that if you look at like this column right here under yardage. The last 3 years, 50 receptions, 557 yards, 50 receptions, 587 yards, 40 receptions, 453 yards. So kind of right around that number. 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. Seems like... at least he's getting in the end zone on relatively limited amount of receptions. You're talking 50 receptions. The guy's got 4 or 5 touchdowns each of the years. Let's see, yards per reception. Where are we looking? Yards per reception. So he's right around 20 each time. It's gotten more each and every year. So that tells me he's at least being used as a deep threat, which is something the Jets need. Now I don't know if the speed is there or if it's a. Let's see if we can see that. See what his 40 time was. No, he wasn't in there. Brr, that's why. All right, if you know his 40 time, let me know. Not too sure. Hey, what's up, Mumtaz? Says Jaylen Lane destroyed the combine, clearly more athletic than Arian Smith. Also, JL is nightmare on special teams and would have impact on day 1 and more proven healthy commodity at wide receiver skills. Why not him? Jaylen Lane. What round did he go in? Let's see. So he was available when we drafted, I guess, right? Commanders select him in the 3rd round. I gotta admit, I don't know much about Jaylen Lane. But why would we go with him? It's the on-field speed. And it's the height probably, too. Jaylen Lane, 5'10". Arian Smith, I think, is what, 6'3", 6'4"? believe that was his height. They're probably just going off wild metrics. My concern with the fourth round pick in him is the injuries. He's got a lot of soft tissue injuries. Last year was really his only year healthy. From what I've heard from people in the know, and take this with a grain of salt, I guess, but had Kyle Smith made it to our third round pick, he was selected just before us, a few picks ahead of us. Kyle Smith would have been the selection instead of A.Z. Thomas, and the Jets would have traded back into the third round to get A.Z. Thomas at the back part of the third round. So just something interesting for what they were looking for. I'm pretty sure Kyle Williams is about the same size and speed profile. I just think Williams is a better player than Arian Smith. You're hoping for a boom-bust type player, right? Now, I don't think this year they're going to utilize Arian Smith a crazy ton, maybe 20 receptions, if that. You got to think Fields is going to be looking at Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall. Those are the three guys that are going to get the lion's share of reps. And outside of that, you're probably looking at Allen Lazard or Malachi Corley getting more reps. I think what's going to happen is you'll see Arian Smith be used more as a decoy. Pick and choose your spots. Okay, we're going to take the top off the defense right now. We're going to bomb it to him. Or defense just has to account for him, and then Garrett Wilson or Mason Taylor is going to get it underneath. So that's sort of where I think they're going to go. As far as Jaylen Lane, I don't know why they didn't go for him. Let's see if I can see his profile, because I don't know much on him, and by much I don't know anything. Full player statistics. Actually, this is probably the way I should be doing all these things. 400 yards, 500 yards, 900 yards. Boom, 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 boom. Not as many touchdowns. I would imagine reception-wise is right around the same. So yardage per 12 yards, 13 yards, 13 yards. I don't know. Maybe they're just looking for the size profile. That's honestly my guess. I think it's size. I think that's what it is, because I think Corley's going to try and fulfill that slot shifty receiver role. So I think they may have wanted to just not have duplicate guys. But dude, 40 time, man, 4.39, 4.34. Is that accurate? Is that actually what he ran? I don't know. I don't tell you. I don't know why they didn't pick him. Sorry, Mumtaz. I wish I could give you a little more insight than that. But I appreciate you, brother, all the same. All right. Take a look at, where are we? Where was I? Unrestricted guys. All right, let's go to the next one. Donovan Edwards. The Jets land their first high-profile free agent, former college football 2025 cover athlete, Donovan Edwards, a 5'11", 203-pound Edwards was seen as a potential future first-round pick, but never lived up to his potential following his breakout 2022 season. An honorable mention, all Big Ten selection in 2024. Edwards is an accomplished pass catcher who could carve out a role as a change of pace back despite his questionable vision. He has a chance to stick around on the 53 with a strong summer. All right, let's do this. Let's go over here. A little Donovan Edwards. Let's see. Where did they have him ranked? Yeah, I guess they put them all basically late round or undrafted. Spider chart looks nice. Arm, wingspan, and weight are really the only question marks. Everything else looks really good from a metric-wise. Massive hands. All right, strengths. Is there a synopsis? So we're going to go scouting summary. We'll do a little breakdown here. Donovan Edwards showcases a dynamic blend of explosiveness and versatility, making him a high-upside NFL prospect. His dual-threat capability as a runner and receiver is a significant asset, adding value to any offensive scheme. Edwards' football IQ and patience to let blocks develop are critical traits that should translate well at the pro level. Edwards does have areas that require improvement. His lack of elite top-end speed and occasional lapses in vision and balance could limit his effectiveness in certain game situations. Durability concerns, given his history of minor injuries, may also impact his draft stock. However, these issues do not overshadow his potential to be a key contributor in the NFL. In the NFL, Edwards projects as a versatile back who can thrive in a committee backfield or potentially evolve into a feature back with further development. His prowess in pass protection and reliability as a receiver out of the backfield will boost his stock. Taking the featured back role in 2024 will be crucial for Edwards to showcase his full skill set and address any scouting concerns, potentially solidifying status as a high draft pick. So this looks like it was a scouting report written before the 2024 season. Just on the way it's reading. Let's see his stats. Yeah, 2022, 7.1 yards a carry. Damn. And then really dropped off after that. Really not a crazy change in attempts either. Went from 140 attempts to 119 to 128. Reception-wise, sitting right around 200 yards each season. He's going to have an opportunity, right? Like, we got our 3 guys locked in as far as Isaiah Davis, Breece Hall, and Braylon Allen. But there's going to be a slot for that third or that 4th running back. Maybe this guy can capture it. Got hope for it. Obviously went to a good school. Harbaugh was the one that recruited him. Harbaugh's pretty knowledgeable on the football front. Let's say if they did they give him a projected role? So they said 6th round right here is where they kind of predicted him. So getting him as a UDFA is all right with me. We didn't have to burn a pick on a running back. I don't know. Nothing crazy there, but I'll take the high upside nature of it. Let's go Dean Clark, Fresno State. Now, is this the one? This isn't Ryan Clark's son. I think Ryan Clark is the one that's at Notre Dame, right? Dean Clark, safety out of Fresno State. Jets brought in Fresno State safety Dean Clark for a top 30 visit before the draft, making this an unsurprising addition. Clark was rewarded with $160,000 in guarantees, giving him a chance to find a home in the Jets safety room. At 6 foot, 208 pounds, Clark started 2 years at Fresno State after transferring from Kent State, developing into a rangy physical safety prospect. He also registered nearly 700 career special team snaps in college, which should help him carve out a role. I would think that is going to help. Let's take a peek over here. Go to Dean Clark. All right. Going to go to his defensive grades. All right, a lot of green, a lot of light green, a lot of light orange. Looks like he played 6 years. Wow, 4 years at Kent State, 2 years Fresno State. I don't know how old he is, but he's got to be 24. Seems like we went really young the first 3 picks of the draft, and then dropped, the care for age and went a little bit older here. Guy had a total of, let's see, coverage. He had 1 interception this past year, 2 the year before, had 1 touchdown and 2 touchdowns the last 2 years. Target percentage, right around 50%, 60% for the career. Not terrible. Missed tackle percentage, probably could use a little bit of come down. Let's see what good old Draft Buzz has on him. Tell me they're not even going to have him. Dean Clark. Of course not. I feel like this happens relatively consistently with Draft Buzz. All right, so hey, look, we add some faces to the safety room. Now this is Ryan Clark's son, Jordan Clark, cornerback, son, safety turned analyst. Ryan Clark. Jordan Clark spent 5 years at Arizona State before transferring to Notre Dame for his final year of eligibility in 2024. At 5'9", 184 pounds, Clark rotated as a nickel defender at Notre Dame and will likely fight for a similar role in the NFL. He's an older prospect at 24 who tested poorly on his pro day, but has a high football IQ and leadership traits, likely caught the attention of Aaron Glenn. So let's pop back over here. We'll take a look at the PFF on Jordan Clark. All right. So he actually did better this past year than his time at Arizona State. At least according to the grades down here. You can see more green. More green equals more good, as it were, by PFF. Looks like, let's see, he allowed 1 touchdown this past year. He allowed 5 the year before that, 2, and then 2 dating back the last few years. Reception percentage sitting right around 64%. That was right at where Dean Clark was as well. Let's see, total yardage given up. Gave up 257 yards across 334 coverage snaps this past year. It's all right. What were his best games? Northern Illinois, Louisville, Purdue, he did pretty good. Virginia, tackling-wise, Indiana. It's not a hot game against USC. Let's see what he gave up. 5 receptions, no touchdowns. So he gave up the 1 touchdown this year in the Indiana game. So maybe a backup to Michael Carter, if that. We'll see. See where he goes. See how it all shakes out. We get our fatty. And go look at it. Lo and behold, they add fat to his actual name. No, I'm kidding. Fatorma. Mulba. Defensive tackle, West Virginia. Jets finally add their defensive tackle in the form of West Virginia nose tackle. The former Penn State recruit transferred to Morgantown in 2023 and played an important role, rotational role in the Mountaineers' defense over the last 2 years. At 6'3", 309 pounds, Mulba projects as a run-stuffing, one-tech defensive tackle at the next level, which is exactly what the Jets needed. The Liberia native was projected to go unselected in this weekend's draft. So it sounds like they got a guy that they kind of needed. Let's see. Fatorma. How do you spell that name? Fatorma. All right. Yeah, so really did a lot better his Penn State than his Penn State years. First 2 years, obviously, young coming into college, still developing. Last 2 years at West Virginia looks pretty solid. Had 464 snaps this past year, 216 the year prior. Stops, 27 stops this past year, 13 the year before that. I wonder, did he get hurt the year before? Let's see. How many games did he play in? No, he played the whole time. So it looks like he played all season. He just had less snaps. Got more action in 2024. And obviously with more action, got the 31 tackles, 27 stops. I'm happy. I don't have to look a whole lot further than that. We get our big chubby up front. Be able to hopefully clog the run. That's what I like to see. Jake says not fat enough for me. Yeah, we didn't get that 400-pounder. That's all right. That's all right. All right. This is a fun one. Brady Cook, quarterback out of Missouri. So we get Armand Membou's former collegiate quarterback. The Jets have signed long-term Missouri starting quarterback Brady Cook, reuniting him with Armand Membou in Florham Park. Cook is one of the most experienced quarterbacks in Mizzou history, starting nearly 40 games over the last 4 years. You know what's interesting about that is Aaron Glenn comes from the Bill Parcells mindset. Bill Parcells said, I'm pretty sure you need to start 4 years in college. I think that was his, or maybe it was at least 3 years in college. Could be forgetting it now, but he wanted a lot of starts in college. Didn't like the one season start guys. At 6'2", 14 pounds, Cook is I'm going to assume that's 214 pounds. Cook is a solid athlete with more than enough prerequisite arm talent to stick around at the NFL level like many young quarterbacks. Cook's biggest issue comes from his decision-making, especially when faced with pressure. Man, I've seen that a lot. Still, Cook's combination of athleticism and arm strength gives him every opportunity to develop into an NFL-caliber quarterback in due time. He's absolutely worthy of a development project. So this is the guy that may end up ultimately bumping Jordan Travis off the list. Unless they decide to carry 4 quarterbacks, which would surprise me. Let's see, we're going to go to his passing stats. Wow. Okay, I like this. Just looking at all the green there. And obviously an SEC connection, I like seeing that. Only 9 touchdowns this past year. Sits right between 2,000 yards and 3,000 yards passing. Now, does this guy do a lot of running? What's his rushing look like? So a pretty decent amount. 600 yards a few years back, about 300 yards per year on the ground. Another 5 and 8 touchdowns the last few years. So a little dual threat action here. I like this. This is make no mistakes. This is probably their developmental swing at a, at least a long-term backup. And if they get any growth from him afterwards, who knows? Maybe it's a Fields versus Cook thing next year in 2026. Should something go the wrong way. Now, it looks like drops. He had 91 drops attributed to his record. I don't know if that's common. How many is a different quarterback? Let's see. Let's go Cam Ward. Just out of curiosity, see how many he had. So 91 drops from the Missouri quarterback. All right, 138 from Ward. All right. So that's probably about-ish normal without diving too crazy far into it. Let's see. Passing concepts? No. All right. So out of his drop back percentage, he did play action on 25-ish% of his dropbacks. Not as good off play action. So I guess I'll have to figure that out. He's good. That tells me maybe it's an RPO. Is that what it is? He does the play action to the running back and then takes off running, I guess would be the metric that I'm looking at here. And then with no play action, which is straight drop back or shotgun, he performs the best out of that. Pretty decent at the screen game. Screen versus no screen. Not a whole lot. Obviously 7% there. Let's take a look at passing depth. Where's he normally chucking the ball? Where's he throwing the rock to? So he's elite in the deep left. 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Intermediate center field, 225 yards and a touchdown. And you can see his QBRs too. 131.6, 95.3, 86.2. So he can throw the ball deep. It looks like he has issues, I guess, that intermediate level. Not so much in the middle. Middle's actually all right. Four yards thrown in the flat. Didn't do a whole lot of throwing in the flat last year. So the majority of his touchdowns came from deep passes or right in front of the line of scrimmage. 55 of 66. Basically everything within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, which I guess is kind of what you'd probably expect. I would think that you're probably going to see Jordan Travis get supplanted by Brady Cook in this this training camp, based on that. Jamarcus, Weston, edge, special teams, Florida, 6'2", 235 pounds. Projects more as a special teamer than a true edge rusher. The Florida native spent 6 years with the Gators, playing 4 different positions and eventually proving to be the team's most valuable special teams ace. Weston started his career as a wide receiver before brief stints as a backup safety, backup linebacker, and eventually a D-end. He projects as a core special teamer at the next level. The fact that Jets gave him $200,000 guaranteed, the most the Jets gave out so far, suggests he might have a long-term role. Yeah, that's a lot of money to give to someone who's a special teams ace, but I love the fact that he's played literally every level of the defense. You're talking secondary, linebacker, and then on the line. The guy must know how to tackle. So let's take a look at where his grading comes out. How do you spell that name? Jamarcus Weston. Probably write the whole thing out. All right, Jamarcus Weston. Checking out his defensive grades. So he's been there a long time, but only played... He's not play at all? Was he hurt? Am I totally reading this wonky? He only played in 2 games in 2024. What happened in 2023? Just didn't play? Chat, let me know if... oh, because he's special teams. Duh, Ryan. That's why. So really didn't play defense. It was all special teams. Cool. We need special teams unit. No more Irv Charles. We went really old with our undrafted free agents. Lots of older guys. I think this is our third or fourth, sixth year collegiate player, if memory serves correct. So, all right, special teamer. Jamal Pritchett, wide receiver, South Alabama. Spent 3 years at South Alabama before transferring from spent 3 years at South Alabama after transferring from a Division II school, Tuskegee, prior to 2022. 5'8", 175 pounds, Pritchett is a speedy, undersized slot receiver who has experience as a punt returner. The ultra-productive Pritchett led the Sun Belt in receiving in 2024, finishing with 1,126 yards while tying the South Alabama single-season record for touchdown catches with 9. His success as a punt returner, plus his 4.42 speed, will have a path on an NFL roster. This seems like our Gibson replacement. So Gibson, bye-bye, would be my guess. I won't go too far into it because it seems pretty. You know what? Screw it. Why not? We're going through all of them. Let's take a look. Jamal Pritchett. Pop over to here. That's a cool logo. It's like discount Nittany Lions. South Alabama Jaguars. All right. So special teams, his punt return prowess is pretty good. 48 punt returns. Take a look at his receiving. Wow. Okay. All right. I like the swing. Why not? Percentage-wise, yep, doing a lot of his work. 45% of his snaps in the slot, 54% out wide. Although when you go up to his actual percentage up here, it says 76% in the slot. So definitely focusing on the slot. But against schools you're probably not crazy knowing of. LSU is a good one, though. Look at that. 3 receptions. Northwest State, Appalachian State, Troy. Looks like he may have feasted over some lesser competition. It is what it is. Can he catch a punt? That's all I need to know. The amount of times I like squirmed as Gibson was trying to field a punt was far too many. Aaron Smith, linebacker, South Carolina State, led. Let's see. Led the MEAC with a total of 92 tackles, 11 for a loss this past season as a centerpiece of South Carolina State's defense. The Jets are hoping he can follow in the footsteps of the last notable linebacker to come out of that program, Shaq Leonard. At 6 foot, 234 pounds, Smith ran an underwhelming 4.69 40-yard dash at his pro day, but the HBCU product and two-time All-MEAC selection could push for a spot as a weak side linebacker or special teams contributor. All right, let's do a little bit of research. Aaron Smith. South Carolina. Bam. Defensive grades. Graded out pretty well this past year. Tackling, 59 tackles, 45 tackles, 49 tackles the last 3 years. Looks like he was a 3-year starter. Pretty decent in coverage. 1 forced fumble. It's pretty decent in coverage. This guy gives up 80% receptions. So I guess that's just as long as he tackles them quick. That's probably all it cares about. Let's see. 5 total pressures. So it doesn't seem like he's utilized any kind of blitzing. Kind of other metrics. Defensive grades chart. I don't know how much that really tells us. Hey, you know what? As long as I see a lot of blue and green for an undrafted free agent, I'll take it. Oh, and I didn't show my. Hold on. Sorry, guys, I didn't show it. There it is. Pretty decent stats across the board, at least from the PFF standpoint, right? In coverage, allows maybe 200 yards per season. Yards per reception, though, not great. all over first downs when they do catch it. Not penalized much. Looks like one penalty, two penalties, and one penalty the last few years. Yeah, all right. I'll take this for a UDFA. It's when you start seeing all the yellow that gets you a little concerned. Jared Bartlett, linebacker, edge, Cincinnati. Led Cincinnati in tackles in his lone season with the program. Bartlett spent 4 years at West Virginia from 19 to 23, crossing paths with fellow Jets UDFA Faturama Mulba for a year. Miami native earned all Big 12 honorable mentions after leading the Bearcats in tackles for a loss, and sacks, 7.5 this past season. Bartlett played both off-ball linebacker and edge rusher in college, but is a bit undersized for a traditional 4-3 defensive end role. So they're looking to round out some of their linebacking core based on these two guys right here. Obviously, Quincy's up for a contract, potentially contract extension. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Are we going to let him walk at the end of the year? We don't know what Zaire Barnes has to bring to the table and how they feel about him, but I like adding some depth at linebacker here. Let's take a look at Jared Bartlett's PFF. Boom. So really did not look good at West Virginia. Lots of yellow, lots of orange. Had a halfway decent year this year. They obviously mentioned the 7.5 sacks. PFF gave him credit for 8, it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love what I'm seeing on this one. If I had to guess, I'm going to have to work a little harder than everyone else based on this. But we'll see. These other guys are coming from smaller schools too. Gus Hartwig, center from Purdue. Jets signed their first undrafted free agent offensive lineman in the form of longtime Purdue center Gus Hartwig, 6'5". So that's got to be, what is Tippmann, 6'6" maybe? 309 pounds. Hartwig is an experienced player that has nearly 50 career starts across 5 seasons with the Boilermakers. Hartwig was an honorable All Big Ten selection in all 5 years at Purdue and also has experience playing guard. At versatility could be valuable as the 23-year-old looks to earn a spot on the 53-man roster or practice squad. I like this, just reading this right here. Gus Hartwig, let's see what he's got going on. Interior offensive line was something that the guys and I tried to preach. We really wanted to see a lot of that. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Pretty solid PFF all the way around. Pass blocking seems to be where it seems to excel. Gave up 3 sacks over the course of the last 3 years. And across his entire 5-year career, only gave up 6 sacks. It's pretty impressive. He has almost 200 snaps at guard, over 3,000 snaps at center. Holy smokes. All right, I like this. Because this is going to give you some flexibility. If AVT or Simpson do not get retained following the year. Let's see if there's any other run blocking, pass blocking. Let's see what it shows. Penalty-wise, 2 penalties this past year, 4 the year before that. So yeah, it gets flagged a little bit. Notre Dame had a good year. I mean, you look at the teams that he played well against, basically all of them except for Indiana and Oregon State. I'll take this. Those are grades that are worthy of throwing a UDFA contract together for. Leander Wigan, offensive tackle from Germany / UCF. Jets signed international player. Signed the NFL International Player Pathway. Leander Wigan out of Germany, arguably the strongest player in the 2025 class. Did 38 reps on the bench press, 5 more than any player at the combine. Wow, okay, so we're going metrics-wise. 6'5", 318. Wigan spent a year at UCF in 21 before returning to Germany the following season, where he played in the European League. Wigan has a good chance to stick around the Jets as a designated IPP player. Under rules, teams are allowed to carry one IPP participant on both their 90-man roster and their 16-man practice squad without that player counting against roster limits. All right, cool. So we got a developmental tackle that can't be poached. I think that's my understanding. So you can keep him on the 90-man roster and their 16-man without the player counting for roster limits. So I guess he could be signed off the practice squad. That's probably the only issue. Let's see if we can find him. Leander Wigan. So they don't even show him. Was it 21 was when he played? Offense, that's my position. Was it 20? Not going to show me. What was it? Spent a year in 2021. That's where he was. All right, so I guess they did not track him over at PFF. So we're going to have to go on faith on that scouting report there. But heck, I'll take someone who has that kind of strength. That's just a brute right there. Go through Dimemer. The Jets added their third undrafted wide receiver, this time in the form of local Rutgers product, Dimemer. The Pennsylvania native spent 4 years at Monmouth, setting single-season school records for catches with 90, receiving yards, 1293 in 2023. The 5'11", 181-pound Miller ran a blazing 4.37 40-yard dash at his pro day and was seen as a borderline late day 3 UDFA prospect entering the draft. Drops plagued Miller's lone season at Rutgers, but he still led the team in receiving with 59 catches, 757 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Miller's athletic profile and impressive college production put him on NFL's radar. But much like Jets' 4th-round pick, Arian Smith, he needs to clean up drop issues to make it. He projects as a slot receiver with special teams upside. So it sounds like we're going to see Miller versus, where was the other guy? Miller versus Pritchett as far as our kick returner goes. If I had to guess, I'd like to see Corley get some reps at this too. But I would bet they're trying to replace our hero, Gibson. All right. Well, we'll go through PFL. Let's see what Dimemer Miller has done. Dimemer. Receiving. Yeah, had a lot of drops at Rutgers. 9 drops this past year. Man. Between him and Smith, you just can't throw him the ball. Maybe they're just looking for a burner to clear out the defense. It's the only thing I can rationalize here. Yeah, had a good year at Monmouth. 120 targets, 90 receptions, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. All right. Interesting swing from a local kid. Might hang around. 24 years old, another older kid. 5 years in college. This is the one I'm excited to get to. Oddly enough, the kicker. One of the most high-profile kickers available in this year's class. It wouldn't have been a surprise if Caden Davis heard his name called at some point on Saturday. Instead, the Jets signed the 2024 first-team All-SEC selection as an undrafted free agent. Davis was a semifinalist for the Lou Graza Award, given to the nation's best kicker this past season, connecting on 24 of 29 field goals, including a 57-yarder. The Texas A&M transfer made over 80% of his field goal attempts over 2 years at Ole Miss. The Jets now have 3 kickers on their roster: Davis, Greg Zuerlein, and Anders Carlson. Don't be surprised if the team parts ways with Zuerlein after June 1st to save some cap space. Now, I have to look real quick. There's a guy. Yeah, not the guy I'm thinking of. All right. You know, I don't think I've ever looked up a kicker on PFF. So let's learn together. Let's see what this this looks like. Hayden Davis. All right. So we're gonna look at field goals. Let's see. This is 2021. So let's go back to 2024. Wow, first game, 10 of 10 on extra points. What kind of score is that? That's wild. All right, so at Ole Miss, hit 100% of his extra points 2 years ago, hit 96% last year, only missed 2. Field goal percentage, they have him down for 23 of 28, which I think is a little different than what that scouting report had. 15 of 20. Let's see, where were his longs? Give me a long. I don't know if it says a long on here. They said 57-yarder, though. 50 plus. He was 2 of 4 from 50 yards. Let's see what kickoffs he does. Seems really good at kickoffs. I don't know how that ranks with like other kickers, but basically all deep blue. Average field position is around the 25-yard line. So I'm assuming that's a lot of touchbacks. Let's see. Yeah, 286 touchbacks. Let's see what we had this year. 75 touchbacks. Does it have average hang time? I don't know if that necessarily matters so much right now. If it's going out the back of the end zone. So let's say 75 touchbacks. Is there a percentage of touchbacks? They do that. Return percentage is 12-2. So that's probably what I want to look at. 12-2. Let's look at let's see. Ryan Fitzgerald. So we're going from a 12% return rate. Let's see what his is. 27% return rate. So this guy was not as good at getting touchbacks. I mean, damn, the guy we signed got twice as many touchbacks. Although that could be an indication that Florida State just sucked like they did this past year. It didn't score many points, so they weren't able to kick off as many times. But his average return rate is what you want to look at. So the other one was 12% return rate. This is 27%. Interesting. It seems to hold that way throughout the entirety. Like I think his highest 14.9, I think was lower than any of Fitzgerald's. Yeah, his lowest is 18%. All right, I like the swing. Why not? Someone that can boot the ball far. Kicks ball good. Rico says, that's something that hasn't been discussed enough about the rule changes. Kickers that had good hang times were basically neutralized. But does that change with the new one? Didn't they change something with the rules with kickoffs? Let's see. His is 4.43 hang time. All right, so he's got almost half a second more than Ryan Fitzgerald. Let's check Borregales too. Which one was it? Andreas? I think that's this year's one. So longer hang time than Borregales. Had more touchbacks than Borregales. And return rate was half. Look at this. Yeah, 27%. 27% returned from Andreas Borregales. 27% from Ryan Fitzgerald. But Cade is getting 12. You guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not, but that sounds like we're getting a better kicker. Now, obviously, accuracy is going to be a lot. Pressure kicks is going to be a lot. Got to figure out, what that kind of looks like. They were 50%. He was 50% from 50 yards, 88%. So let's look at 40 and 50-yard percentages. So almost 90% from 40 yards, 50% beyond 50 yards. Ryan Fitzgerald was 100% across the board. Yeah, he had a really good season this year. Let's see, Borregales. 100%. So we only had 2 kicks. So he was 2 of 2 from 50 plus. Our guy was 2 of 4 from 50 plus, if I'm remembering that correctly. 40 plus was about ish the same. I think our guy was 88%. And we didn't burn a draft pick on him. Yeah, looks like we tried 4 of them. I wish they would tell me the yardage on what those were. Drug Monkey says, are we really looking at a kicker? That's how you know our draft is bad. Nah, we need a kicker. And I'm on that point in the undrafted free agent. So we're looking at it. Payton Paige, defensive tackle, Clemson. I think this is the last one we're getting at, yeah. A former 4-star recruit, Payton Paige, spent the first 3 years of his college career buried on a ridiculously deep Clemson defensive line depth chart before finally taking over as a full-time starter in 2024. At 6'3", 300 pounds, Paige earned third-team All-ACC honors, finishing with 32 tackles, half a sack this past season. Despite his lack of college production, Paige's athletic upside flashes tape. Page's athletic upside flashes tape. That's not correct grammar. And he projects as a developmental 3-tech at the next level. This is the more high profile of the 2 UDFA tackles the Jets have signed. So the other one was more of the 1-tech. So this would be like potentially a Quinnen Williams backup. Let's see. Let's take a look at his PFF. What are we looking at here? He doesn't kick many field goals, apparently. All right, tackling, not good the last 2 years. Got red and orange in the middle there for the season-long averages. Why? What happened? Why are things wrong? Missed tackle percentage, 25% and 21%. You don't want to be a defensive player missing that high percentage of tackles. That's silly. So out of every 4 times, he's going to miss 1. That seems less than stellar. Let's see. 1 sack. How many pressures? 22 pressures across the year. I don't know. I don't know how this guy's the higher profile. Maybe he's higher profile because he went to the bigger school. Is that right? Where did our other guy go? West Virginia was the other one. Fatarama is the one that speaks a little bit more to me. If this kid could be the 1-tech stuff and things, it doesn't really matter what that other guy is. All right. So some interesting dudes across the undrafted free agent landscape. Let's see if I was trying to see if Tigo was gonna hop on with me for the next hour. I don't have any Dom C tonight. He's got to go to a dance recital or something like that. He should be on for the 10 o'clock mock. But let's go through some chat questions. Maybe I'll do this let's do this next half hour. We'll go to 9:30 and I'll just kind of poke through the chat. Cameron's asking for call-ins. I could do call-ins. I want to get your thoughts. Let's do let me see. How does do? We can do a few call-ins. Why not? BMAX says 2026 mock. I don't know any of the players for the 2026 mock, so I'm not going to pretend to bullshit you there. All right. Call-in link is on the screen. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about the draft. We'll take this to 9:30. So at 9:30, I'll hop off. No Talking Jet Show stream today. And if you don't call in, that's totally fine. I'll just I'll talk to the chat. Nothing wrong with that. Tom says, come on, gang, hit those milk thumbs. Yeah, we got 200 people in here, only 85 likes. Do me a solid. Rico didn't know there was a European league. I'll be honest, I haven't watched it. Because we've been sending so many games over to London, it's basically the NFL anyway. Oregon says a $30 million cornerback doesn't want to tackle, may be May not be the guy for Glenn. That's something I brought up with the AZ Thomas selection, and it's not that he makes Sauce expendable, but I think you do have to at least be mindful of the idea of potentially trading Sauce. Remember, this regime did not draft Sauce. I don't think Woody's going to allow them to trade him. I think he's too. It seems like such an easy contract to work out, but $30 million a year for a guy that doesn't turn the ball over is I can understand the concern. If Sauce had a really good year last year with a bad defensive line, then I think you'd probably see a little bit more confidence. And that's not me poo-pooing on him last year at all. But I definitely think I question it myself about the $30 million deal coming up for Sauce. All right, let's go over to Cameron, and then we'll go over to Luke. Cameron, what's good, dude? How you doing? Well, that's not the
Good. I can't.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
I can't ask to call in, then not call in.
It is always a pleasure to talk with you, my friend. What are your thoughts on the Jets draft, or what did you want to talk about in general?
I mean, we can talk about the draft. That's the most recent thing that happened. Sure. I found it funny when somebody said that the draft's the Jets Super Bowl. I was like, that stings a little bit, but damn. I thought it was a really good draft. I thought it was a roster building draft. Get the right tackle, the future, if it all works out with Olu and God, his name slipped my mind. But anyways,
Membu.
Get the Membu. Thank you. They sound the same or pretty close too.
Too many vowels.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really smart move. At first, I've been banging the table for Tyler Warren for months, and when he was sitting right there, I'm like, come on. But I understand the reasoning the more you think about it. And when you see him getting Thomas in the second round, or Taylor, God, I'm tired from work. Anyways,
I knew what you meant. But you get Taylor in the second round, so it almost alleviates some of the Warren, woes.
Exactly. So I like the corner we got from Florida State. Thought he was a good get. I think their undrafted free agents are good. I really like the running back they got from Michigan. I think he is a huge get considering how good he was. Yeah, he kind of fell off recently, but at the same time, if you can get him back to where he was his first 2 years at Michigan, he could be a real steal in the free agent, draft pick.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for how this could play out. I mean, the Jets have a solid running back room already, so this guy doesn't have to go crazy. But if you have the ability to unlock that potential, especially in such a running style offense, Fields is going to ball out on the ground. Right. It's going to open up lanes because of whatever RPOs we wind up trying to run. I'm curious to see what happens in free agency, or not in free agency, in preseason. I really like the Brady Cook signing too. I think it's a good attempt at a backup quarterback without needing to burn a pick in the draft on a backup quarterback. I like this guy more than Ewers.
Jordan Travis?
The writing's kind of on the wall for Travis. I think Travis was done the minute he kind of pulled his Jet stuff off social media and sort of, not that he threatened a lawsuit, but the Jets did me dirty on the health side of things, pushed me back too soon. I hope they give him a fair shake. I'd like to see an opportunity for him to compete with Brady Cook. But I think it's tough when you're coming in against someone that the regime brought in, who is also the quarterback for their new first round pick as well. I would imagine Brady Cook's going to supplant Jordan Travis.
I could see that. I heard somebody mention next year's mock draft, and all the mock drafts for next year, which is stupid to think about right now, have us with the number 1 overall pick, taking Archie Manning. And I'm like,
does it have us with the first overall pick?
Oh yeah, I read 3 of them today, and all three have us with the first overall pick, taking Archie. Arch, and I hope they use that as fuel, because that's kind of disrespectful. They're like, well, this is how Justin Fields doesn't work out. I'm like, you know what? If Justin Fields proves he can play somehow, some way, shit, I'll take it. He's 25. He had all the potential in the world coming out of Ohio State. Why not give him a fair shake here? If we built a team around him, now go out and ball, kid. Show us what you can do. Show us what everybody thought you were.
Yeah, and I think if he can't ball out with this staff and this offense built around him, because I think this is going to be the best offensive line that he's had, probably the best running back that he's had. I mean, obviously Najee's, no slouch, but I think Breece is a better caliber running back. I think Braylon and Isaiah are a good tandem as well. If he can show that he is, ascending, then I shouldn't even say ascending. He's got to kind of ball out, because if we're in a position to draft a quarterback next year, we're probably going to take one. And then if that quarterback has to sit a year or two, like let's say Justin Fields does have a good year and you still want to take a quarterback, I think that's fine too. You could be in a situation like JJ McCarthy and like Sam Darnold. Now Sam wound up leaving after a year, but had he not popped off and demanded such a massive contract, they probably would have retained him for at least, a smaller amount.
I thought they were going to for a little while there, until his price got as high as they did. But yeah, I mean, if the Jets are in the quarterback market next year, you'll have the kid from Texas A&M, the 6'4", 240 kid who runs like Lamar, and then you'll have Manning, and then you'll have Aller from Penn State, who for a while there I thought we were going to get this year. Any of those three options, as good as Field is, those guys. I mean, if you can get a Lamar Jackson who's heavier than him, taller than him, but with the same athleticism, why wouldn't you take it?
Oh, it'd be scary. I mean, and I'm cool with the Jets trading up. Like, I want to have as much success as we could possibly have this year. If that looks like 6 wins or looks like 7 wins, and like you get to understand the roster and whatnot. Like, I want to win as many games as we possibly can win. I don't want any of this tanking talk. I don't want to like lose for a draft pick. Now, if Fields gets hurt and like the wheels come off, I'm open to like the worst case scenario. Unless Brady Cook
just throw Cook in there and say good luck.
That's exactly it. Like, I'm not. If Fields goes down, I'm not playing Tyrod. I'd rather play the rookie and just see what we have, because you know what you got in Tyrod. Tyrod is like, Fields is banged up for a game or two, then you put Tyrod in to try and like hold you over till he gets back. If Fields is out a long time, there's no reason to see what Taylor's got at this point. Cameron, I've got some more calls.
Hey. All right. Hey, have a good one, Ryan. Thanks for your time.
You too, brother. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Thank you so much, Cameron. I've got Luke, then June the GM, then Rich Rise. So let's go over to Luke. Luke, dude.
Ryan, how are you?
Hanging in there. I'm feeling pretty decent about the Jets draft. It's not like a crazy draft by any stretch of the imagination, but still like a solid. I like the first 3 picks a lot. I would say day 3 left me a little. I wanted more.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I completely agree with you there. I think Arian Smith was. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend like I knew the guy before the draft. But from what I've read online and seen online, it seems unanimously to be a reach. Everyone but Gruden. And one of my best friends here at school is a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and he was like, took him in the 4th round, so that doesn't sit well with me. But I think that it was really reassuring to see Muji select Membu with the 7th overall pick. I think it's the most rational choice, right? You have a quarterback. They say that they believe in Fields. If you truly do, right, you want to give him the best protection possible. I guess you could argue that you want to give him the best weapons possible, but I think that protection probably comes before weapons. But you have like these new GMs. I feel like all across sports, right? But specifically like Gladstone with the Jaguars making these big splashy moves, like trading future first for Travis Hunter, right?
Crazy.
Right. And Muji, he showed a little, he didn't have the tendency to try to make a big splashy move. He went with the safe, rational choice in Membu. And Membu's like extremely athletic. So I feel good about that one. I would say like with the Mason Taylor pick, I know that Daniel Jeremiah was like fairly high on him. I guess, it doesn't make me feel great about the tight end position, relying on a rookie. And also I think, wide receiver is still a big hole on this team. I think that 2 spot is kind of, we're going with a bunch of average at most guys for that number 2 spot with Reynolds, Lazard. And defensive tackle wasn't really addressed. So there are a lot of areas with this team where I'm not really feeling great right now. I'm feeling great about the O-line, but yeah, I don't know. Those are kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, O-line and running back room, I think, are the most confidence boosting of this team. And you look at Fields, that's kind of the two areas we need to be the strongest. Like, he's got his buddy Garrett. You know, you're probably going to rely more than you'd like to on Stone Smart and Mason Taylor, and you know, hopefully the connection with Ruckert and Fields can spark something too. Like, that's sort of my only hope. That former connection. Again, that was 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever. At this point, so who knows how much that comes into play. But yeah, I agree. I think the defensive line is something that I question. You know, is the edge going to be good enough that we got in the later part of the rounds to you know, make up for, you know, maybe a slower JJ this year, maybe an adjustment period from Will McDonald coming into a new defense. You know, I guess it felt like they wanted to give the guys that are on the roster an opportunity, so they plugged in guys at positions they knew were open. Like, you know, that right tackle is open. You know that tight end is open. You know, now granted, corner isn't necessarily open, but I think the value presented itself in the third round to get A.Z. Thomas. I think it gives you a little bit of safety net in the event something goes sideways with Sauce at some point. And then, you know, you have that flexibility to move Stevens to safety. The fourth round pick, the Arian Smith selection, I think they were going purely on traits, and they're just like, hey, we just want a burner, go get him. Like, we're not going to utilize wide receiver 2 very much at all. So like Lazard might get a handful of balls, Josh Reynolds might get a handful of balls, but like Corley probably won't, and neither will Arian Smith. So like, we're literally going to use this guy to scream down the field. We're going to throw it to him 5 to 20 times this year, and like, you know, if his play opens up Garrett Wilson for a touchdown, then that draft pick is how they're probably going to rationalize it.
Yeah.
But Luke,
that makes sense.
Any last words before I eject you?
Let's go Jets. Hopefully over on the 5.5 win total.
Fingers crossed, Luke. You've been ejected from the cockpit. All right, I've got June the GM and Rich Rise. I'm going to just acknowledge a sponsor of the channel real quick, and then I'll be right back. My takes may stink doesn't mean you guys have to stink, and that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Mando reached out and said, Ryan, your team has stunk for a very long time, so we know that you understand what stinking is. And I said, yeah, absolutely. They're like, so bad in fact that we think we can smell you through the camera. And I was like, man, that's very aggressive, thank you. But what do I got to do? They're like, hey, we're going to send you out some product. We want you to test it out. We want you to be honest with your audience. And then if you like it, offer up a promo code. I was like, all right, cool. So they sent me out the starter pack. I got the Mount Fuji deodorant. Really enjoy that. Put that on every day. In the summer, I've got what is known as a chafing problem, like 2 chestnuts over a roasting fire type problem. This stuff can be put on anything. Your feet, your butt crack, your grundle, your armpits, your hands, boobies, rolls, under boobies, anywhere. This stuff is totally safe. And throwing this on the chafing areas, very, very appreciated. It comes with 2 free gifts as well. I chose the bourbon leather body wash. Becca has really liked that, but I think my favorite thing in the pack is honestly the deodorant wipes. I throw this in my to-go bag and I can just freshen up no matter where I am throughout my day. And maybe I was just yelling at a camera underneath some hot lights and I just need to look a little bit nicer, smell a little bit nicer when I walk out of the cockpit here. So guys, if you want to get in on this, I've really enjoyed it. Shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk. That's shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk is going to get you $5 off. That's a 40% off savings on their starter pack. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Girls, we're going to be going to our next caller. We're going to June the GM. June! Hey, June! How are you?
Hey, what's going on, my man? So interesting when the other caller was talking about Archie Manning. You know damn well the Mannings are not about to let any Archie Manning play in New York City. They hate us.
I completely agree.
And we hate them, right? So let's get that idea out the way. I was a little disappointed with some of the draft picks. I'm not a fan of Mason Taylor. I just don't like. Maybe it's because his dad is a stinky old Dolphin. I don't know. It's hard to root for somebody who's the son of a Dolphin. But I just don't see the. I like Fannin more. I wish we would have drafted Fannin later on in the draft. Maybe not as high as where Taylor went. I do like the Membo pick. I think that solidifies our offensive line. We needed that. You can never go wrong with a top 5 offensive line with youth, and I think that's what we can become in
Mm.
time. We need it because we ain't going to be slinging the rock around the field. I am disappointed.
Not expecting many 300-yard games from Fields?
Not really. If we see one, it'd be amazing. But something that's kind of intriguing to me, and I want your opinion on this. In a draft with a plethora of defensive tackles, to not draft one in 7 rounds, I'm confused at that. What's that about?
Dude, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I was on the Joshua Farmer train, early on. I know both Matt and Greenbean both had guys that they really liked in the mid to late rounds as well. Didn't pull the trigger on it. My only thought is that they brought in a lot of free agent defensive tackles, added a lot of meat to the locker room, and they're just playing this year as like a, let's gauge the roster, see what we have before we invest any premium picks or premium dollars into any position in general. Like, we didn't really give out a whole lot of money outside of Fields. I thought the Stevens contract was more than I really wanted to give up for the caliber of player we were getting, because we're either getting like a pretty highly paid safety or like a moderately paid starting corner that Baltimore didn't seem to like. Like, the fans were happy when he left. So I feel like it's more of a test the waters situation this year. See what guys you want to invest money in, what guys you don't want to invest money in, and then maybe go from there. I honestly don't mind not addressing as much on the defense this year, because I'm not really predicting a ton of wins. Like, I'm thinking we're going to be in like the 6 or 7 win range. I think the over under is 5.5 wins. And I think we're probably going to wind up losing games because of some holes on our defense, but they might also be trying to gamble on the fact that like this defense was a top unit the last 2 years prior to last year. So it could just be from injury. It could be from, losing Salah and being unmotivated after that whole thing went down. So I think they really don't know entirely what they have. And a lot of it is just like, let's see where we can go from here. Let's get the guys we want. The whole day 3, like the 4 draft picks we made, felt like every single one of them was some degree of a reach. So it felt like they predetermined, hey, we want these guys in camp. Let's just figure out what it takes to get these specific players. I don't love that about that particular round, but I think that was the take they went on.
And what about the other glaring need? We already discussed the defensive tackle, but what about the need at wide receiver? I get it. Smith is a burner. They're going to teach him how to catch suddenly because he doesn't know how to catch now. They're going to bring in Chris Carter to train him. I don't know what's going on. But what about that? Royals was there on the board when we drafted the kid, Smith. I was confused at that. What is the plan for that moving forward? Are we going to try to bring in an OG free agent? What's the vision for that?
I don't think we're going to do much at the wide receiver position, if I'm being honest. I think this year they have Justin Fields at quarterback, and they saw how low of a percentage rate he uses his number 2 wide receiver historically. And to restructure Lazard on a cheaper contract, you bring in Josh Reynolds. Those guys are all wide receiver 2, 3, low end 2, to wide receiver 3, 4. While I'd love to see a second receiver, I think the target share is probably going to go like Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall, like somewhere, or like if you wanted to argue Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Mason Taylor, whatever. Then it will be Fields, then it will be Reynolds, then maybe Malachi Corley. Like, by the time you start going down the pecking order, I think Arian Smith is literally just going to be used as a decoy to like have those 1 or 2 shots a game to like let the ball rip downfield. Like, he might get 20 targets all year, if that. Like, I don't even know if that's going to be the case. So my guess would be we probably did not want to invest high in wide receiver because of the way this offense is going to look this year. And then you can kind of reassess if you want to invest more money in free agency next year or more draft pick capital into a wide receiver, and then have that receiver grow with whoever, quarterback next year is. I mean, if it's Justin Fields, then you really don't necessarily have to invest a high pick in the second wide receiver on the team, because then you could just sort of get your 2026 version of Josh Reynolds or of Allen Lazard with it being a different name. That's my hunch, at least.
I guess it's safe to say that we got to put all our faith in this coaching staff to coach these players up, because I personally can't see it. I'm hoping that they're better coaches than what I envision. I love Glenn, love Tanner. They never did it at this level. But I can say that I expect the offensive line to be brutal against defenses, and we should have a top 5 rushing attack to have any chance of being a good team next year.
I completely agree. With Fields at the helm and some RPO and whatnot, I want to see us beat teams into submission with the offensive line. Pull on that right-hand side, run behind AVT, run behind Membu, pull Simpson from the other side and just knock teeth out, and then have Fields and Brees and Braylon just really bully teams around. So take your shots with Garrett when you can.
And last thing I say, sir, the reality is when we've been relevant, we've been top running teams. That's Brady through our history. When the Jets have a good team, although we did have Brady and Edwards, Marshall, that's a different story. But when we were a good team, we had a good running game. So let's see if we can get back to that and at least be competitive. That's what I'm praying for.
I love it. June, the GM, you have been ejected from the cockpit. Thanks so much for calling in. Do not pass go. Do not click $200. Love you, dude. Thank you so much for calling in. Boys and girls, we got Rich Rise coming in. Let's go talk to Rich. Rich! How you doing, dude?
Ryan, my man. How we doing?
Hanging in there. What'd you think about the draft?
Dude, I loved it. I loved it. Day 3, I didn't like it. So day 3,
day 1 and 2, music to my ears. Day 3, not so much.
But the thing is, you know, most day 3 picks, we don't want them to be bust. We don't want to let the expectation be that they're going to be bust. But day 3 picks, until proven otherwise, they're not expected to be good players or starters. When you get a couple, that's a really good draft. So if our biggest complaint is that we overdrafted a couple guys on day 3, I don't like it. But I'm okay with that if we nail our first 3 picks. And for our needs, if you have a big hole at offensive tackle, I don't care how good the rest of the O-line is. If you have a big hole at right tackle, your quarterback is not safe. And we've had no tight ends for a long time. Mason Taylor, I think he looks really good, and I think he's going to allow us to do a lot of things on offense. And then I really like the guy Thomas, too. So I freaking love it, man. I love it. Let's hear your thoughts.
Thomas is stud. Like, it's funny because Dom and I talked about AZ Thomas a few times throughout the draft show on Talking Jets, and it was like, okay, like, I don't know much about this guy, but Dom loved him. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's see where it goes. He's like, yeah, it's my 18th ranked corner or 18th ranked prospect, not even just corner. He's like, I think you could get him in like 3rd round. I think like, yeah, dude, he was super hyped on him. So I'm like, all right. As soon as the name was called, I was like, oh, it's Dom's guy. Green meat and matter. Like, who? What? Why are we going corner? And like, I understand the position definitely throws you for a loop, but like, when you got such a good player that was projected like a 2nd round guy to get that late, I'm just a fan of it. I think it's a good move. Mason Taylor, I like the lineage of Mason Taylor more than I like the production necessarily. But I think he's a great safety blanket. Like when I look at his stats, it's hard because like I didn't watch every snap from him in college. I'll have to go back over the summer and just digest a little bit. But I'm gambling on, hey, Jason Taylor's son trained really hard. Zach Thomas's nephew training really hard. This guy, basically every scouting report I saw him as wide tight end 3 or 4, depending on where they had Arroyo. So I'm good with it. SEC school, you're not drafting someone like, I like Harold Fenton Jr. from like a statistics standpoint. Like I look at his metrics and like the amount of receiving yards he has, which is great, but he's doing it against, competition against Bowling Green, not SEC competition like LSU has. And for what we want, Mason Taylor fits perfectly because he can block. He's only 20 freaking years old, dude, so he can be coached. First 3 picks are only 20. Crazy.
I love it, dude. I love that so much. So my closing thoughts, just this on paper could be the best offensive line in the league, legitimately. We've got young studs. I was huge on drafting Olu last year. I love Brock Bowers. But again, if you have a hole at offensive tackle, your quarterback's not safe, and that is a huge hindrance to the offense. Wide receiver 2 is going to be an issue for us. But, you're not going to fix everything. Our line looks stacked. I really love the tight end pick. The first 2 picks couldn't have had a better combo in the draft. J-E-T-S, baby! J-E-T-S!
Oh, Rich, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Boys and girls, thank you so much for calling in. We'll talk to the chat a little bit. See what you guys are talking about in here. JJ saying Membu is better than Olu. I mean, that would be a great issue to have. It's not even really an issue. It would just be great. Because they play different positions. Kev says you can't keep all of Hall, Sauce, JJ, and Garrett. As soon as Hall's stock goes up, look to trade when another team loses their running back to injury. Yeah, I think if Breece looks really good and they don't have any intention of holding on to him, then I'm cool with trading him. I really am. I just don't want to trade him prior to his stock going up. Like right now, I feel like his stock is at roughly where it's going to, like as low as it's going to go, barring like some kind of injury. And at that point, you're just, it is what it is at that point. But I would very much like to see Breece go off and stay here and then force us to use the franchise tag on him. The tag's only going to be like $13, $14 million at most next year. So like use the tag on him, keep him around. He's a good receiving threat out of the backfield. He's not just a running back like a lot of people have he's like, oh, you can't pay a running back that much. Yeah, well, he's not just a running back. So I hope he stays around. Lenore Sellers is the kid you're talking about. He's really intriguing. I was talking about the guy looking at quarterbacks for next year. See if they did any Tankathon do a 2026. Oh, they did. They do a mock draft. So the mock draft, they have the Jets picking 5th and selecting Drew Aller, second quarterback off the board. So they have, as far as their top quarterback rankings, let's see, do they have? They don't have it yet. They have Arch Manning, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier going to the Colts at 8. They have the Browns with 2 quarterbacks. Oh, yeah, getting Arch, or 2 first. Obviously, getting Arch at the top. What else? Lenore Sellers going to the Steelers out of South Carolina. And then is there another quarterback on here? Or is that, yeah, that's all of them. So it looks like they kind of plugged them in based on, like, I don't know what they're projecting everything off of. I'm not a huge Drew Aller fan right now. I like the size a lot. But I want to see a little bit more this next year from him before I'm like all gung-ho. Let's see. Lenore Sellers. I have not watched him. I'll be honest. But last year he had a 65% completion percentage, had 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and then had another 674 yards on the ground and 7 touchdowns. So the guy had a total of 25 touchdowns last year. I will have to watch a little bit more from him. A little bit of anything from him to see where I fall on this. But that would be, that could be a fun watch. Hell yeah, I want F and Allard. So I didn't like Allard's last game in the college football playoffs. I thought he did not look very good. Now, granted, that's against, the best of the best competition. He's still got a whole nother year to develop. So he could totally look a lot better. The metrics are all there. And I like the idea of pairing him with, Olu as his former left tackle. I feel like there's some camaraderie there. Size-wise, he's built like Josh Allen. He looks like a baby face. he's like so little. Let's see. Where else are you guys in the chat? Mason Taylor is the only tight end worth drafting in the top 7 rounds. That's a bold statement. Other than Warren. What did you think about the rival jersey we're getting? What's your prediction? What's the rival jersey? Did I not hear this? Rival jersey. Jets will wear NFL rivals uniform during the season. So do we know what it is? Jets will be one of the participating teams that will wear a unique rivalries uniform next season, joining the first wave of teams from the AFC East and NFC West. The Jets' rivalry uniform will feature designs sourced from local community insights during a home game against an AFC East rival. Nike and the NFL on Friday announced that the rivalries program, which will drive fan engagement by celebrating storied traditions and uniting communities and unique and elevated product designs. The program will elevate NFL rivalry games over the next 4 seasons with specialty specially designed Nike uniforms and fan gear. The program will celebrate storied traditions and help to unite communities and unique product designs. The NFL is home to some of the biggest football rivalries, and today marks a historical moment in the NFL as we share rivalries with the world. Together with Nike, we are harnessing the power of rivalry matchups to bring fan excitement and community pride to the next level. Through specialty designed player uniforms and limited edition fan gear, we will embark on a journey that inspires competitive spirit and reveals the winner in all of us. AKA, we're trying to sell you more shit. The Jets are going to be bad. No one's going to buy jerseys, but we're going to do this limited time thing for the 1 year that we're going to be kind of stinky, so this will be the year to buy jerseys. That's how I'm reading this right now. But we'll see. Maybe it comes out looking real dope. I would think more of our rivalries are going to revolve around like the 2000s era and be like earlier, because we haven't really had a rivalry in the last 15 years. We've been irrelevant. It's hard to have a rivalry when one team constantly sucks. So for me, if you're showing like a little bit of like Jets, Miami, bickering back and forth between like the Monday Night Miracle, the fake spike, Pennington going down there, and I don't know. I don't think we're the best team to be talking rivalries with. But let's see. The teams from the AFC South and NFC North will debut their rivalry uniforms in 2026. The NFC East and AFC West teams will be 2027, and the AFC North and NFC South teams in 2028. This year's rivalries uniforms will be unveiled prior to the first rivalry game. Designated AFC East and NFC West rivalry games will be announced after the 2025 NFL schedule is released next month. Fans will be able to purchase new jerseys, sideline apparel, and fan gear, including t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, and headwear. Rivalries jerseys and apparel will be available ahead of the first rivalry game. Fanatic, NFL Shop, Nike.com, Fanatics.com, individual team stores, and other retailers. Will also be available across Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Australia, NFL Shop sites, and select international retailers. Interesting. So what do I think about the rivalry jersey we're getting? What's your predictions? I mean, I don't understand what it really means. Like, how are you is it gonna be like a graffiti? Like, I feel like a New York could do well with like a graffiti or maybe a Statue of Liberty on it or something, or like what could mean something important to the city from a rivalry standpoint. I mean, for the longest time, Boston and like Philly have kind of been not Philly, the Eagles, but like for a New York team, Philly and Boston are kind of our rivals as best we can. I don't know. If it's going to be a unique design, graffiti would be cool, I guess. Maybe if that's what they're going with. I have no idea. I don't understand what it could mean. Excited to see it though. Chris says, as a diehard fan, I feel like we did miss the mark at wide receiver 2. I'm hyped with Smith's speed, but who knows how long with development. I am excited to see Malachi Corley light it up. Again, I don't think we're going to be utilizing wide receiver 2 much this year, and I think it's more about evaluation than anything else. So I'm not as bummed about wide receiver 2. That's kind of why Tet McMillan came off my board later into the draft process. The more I found out that Fields really doesn't utilize wide receiver 2, I like the re-signing of Lazard for an additional year, or not additional year, but for less money to keep him on the team this year. I thought that was a smart move. Sharon, UDFAs look better than our draft picks. That's how you build this shit. So I like the UDFAs. A lot of special team stuff. I like Brady Cook a lot. I think that's an interesting swing at backup quarterback without needing to burn a draft pick on one. And I like the kicker. I think kicker looks pretty solid too. So we will see. Jets Johnny says Al-R's cheeks. Zachary says Al-R's arm needs to work. Needs to be more accurate. Yeah, I mean, I think he needs this full year. You need to see what he's like at the end of this year to determine if he's going to be like a top prospect or not. The metrics wise look good, but I have a buddy that watches every Penn State football game, and he's a big Jet fan, big Jet fan. He's just like, he goes, I love Abdul Carter. I love Olu. I love Tyler Warren. And I was like, oh, what about Outlaw if he comes out next year? He goes, I don't think I'd do that. And I was like, crap. It's not what I want to hear. But who knows? One more year of development, maybe it's looking a little bit better. I am surprised how we didn't get Nick Nash. Yeah, Nick Nash wound up going to Atlanta after the draft. Would have been nice to get him. Outlaw is way slower than Josh Allen. I mean, look, Allen's a freak. Allen, I'm not going to compare him to really anyone. It's like him and Cam Newton are kind of in a league of their own. We're getting the New York Titans throwbacks. I don't think it's New York Titans. It says rivalries uniform. I hope it's not the Titans. I don't like the Titans jerseys. I was thinking we'd wind up getting like the throwback Aaron Glenn jerseys, but maybe our throwback is the like 2000s era uniform, and then this rivalry jersey is something entirely different. I don't really know how that's gonna go. JJ says my biggest complaint is we didn't draft any refs. Would have been nice. Aaron says, when is the rookies camp? I think it's like, isn't that mid-May? I think it's right around mid-May. Admittedly, I don't know offhand, but I think it's before June, because June, I think, is organized team activities or something to that effect. Gitmo, Penn State is not an offensive juggernaut last season. No wide receivers. Would be interesting to see Al with some real weapons. Yeah, I mean, you only really had Tyler Warren, right? I think he was their leading receiver. So what does he look like next year? I don't know. I don't know what I have no idea what their wide receiver room looks like. Bring back the 2016 Color Rush. I hated that jersey. I'm sorry you liked it, Chris, but I hate it. It was like such a neon green. It was it was too much green. Especially that Bills Jets game where it was green and red, like it looked like Christmas colors running around. I don't know. I might buy a hat if it's not $75. Yeah, if there's like an alternate version, like uniform that's like fan dedicated or something and it looks dope, maybe I'll go with a hat. I don't think I'm going to jersey. We have a lot of wide receiver threes, like the Green Bay wide receiver room always looks like. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a situation where the Jets can trade from someone from Green Bay, but I'm not so sure we're going to do anything. I think they're kind of like okay with wide receiver threes. As long as, I mean, if Garrett gets hurt, we're kind of up shit's creek anyway. And then you're really utilizing the running backs. And I guess your argument is that, Fields doesn't throw a lot. So I don't know. It's not going to look good if we don't get if Garrett gets hurt. NY Jets 15. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of ignorance out there with our fan base. So far, AG has shown more passion than Sal ever did. Trust the effing process. We got a lot better this weekend, bottom line. I think we did too. I think we did get a lot better. I think you fixed the biggest parts of your team, the right tackle position, the tight end position, and then, I think you got a really good player in AZ Thomas. Really, really like him. He took a swing on a speed demon wide receiver. Would have liked to have seen Kyle Williams go there. Would have been nice. And I do I didn't dislike Salah. I disliked him after he kind of heard a little bit more of like the softness of him, and it wasn't like the fiery guy you saw on the sideline in San Francisco didn't really translate to over here. So, Elberg's son called Nick Nash, so they had to take him. Oh, did they really? Is that like actually? I know he called other people. I don't know if Nash was one of them, but that's super shitty. I feel real bad for Shedeur for that. Like I enjoyed watching Shedeur fall down the draft board, but no one deserves to get that fake call, and especially when it's coming from a team, number or like a team. Like, hey, this is specifically for a team to call you on. Like that's pretty shitty. Eli Betts says voluntary minicamp April 21st to 23rd, OTA offseason workouts May 22nd to 20th to 22nd, 28th to 30th, June 2nd to 5th, mandatory minicamp June 10 to 12. So I don't know if that's all. Are those all rookie camps? And then the mandatory minicamp starts 10 to 12? Yeah, Sean agrees with me. Color rush was bad. Faturama Mulba Sanders that went to Buffalo hurt, and then that bum kept jumping in. Yeah, I don't know what that says. Smith is going to be a lot better than we think. He will open up the field like we haven't seen in years. Everyone needs to relax. That's where my mindset is. If you guys have been kind of watching since the draft day, I said I wanted a burner. I want someone to take the top off the defense. And you open up the field for Mason Taylor, for Garrett Wilson, and for Braylon Allen, and for Breece Hall. Like all the guys, Jeremy Ruckert, that you want to, Malachi Corley, like all these guys you want to feed in the middle, you got to get the safeties back. And someone that can take the top off. And Fields has a strong arm. Doesn't mean it's going to be accurate, but the defense has to account for him. So I like it. Rico says those color rush jerseys look like tubes of toothpaste on a football field. Why is everyone saying Michael Clemens is gone? Because the guy we drafted, Barron, late, appears to be of a similar mold. So he'll push Clemens. Clemens has a big cap hit too. Clemens has I think it's $3.5 million salary cap hit this year. Or maybe it's guaranteed money of 3.5, or you could save 3.5 by cutting him. Whatever it is, I would be surprised if he was still on this team. I agree that wide receiver 2 is not a top priority. AG clearly wants to run the damn ball, but if we don't have anyone to complement Garrett, if G5 goes down, we are dog shit. We need a competitive wide receiver room. I think they're kind of on this. They're not going to say it out loud, right? They're going to win as many games as possible. But I think they're also kind of fine if like a kicker misses a game-winning field goal, or like a defensive play is blown up and like someone who's not a critical piece to this team gives something up, on a touchdown, or like if we lose games, we're going to be in position to get a quarterback. Now, ideally, you want the offense to be as built as possible. And we're not going to use wide receiver 2, right? Like Fields doesn't throw to wide receiver 2. If Lazard can, for $4 million or whatever his contract is, can provide roughly the availability of wide receiver 2, that's fine. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Hey, Max. Max is calling behind the scenes. I'm actually going to hop off in 5 minutes. So Max, you can tune out. Not going to do the call in for right now. And then they're going over to the Green Bean and Dom 10 o'clock mock over there. Chris also says, also in regards to 2016 Color Rush, sorry you hated them. Oh, yeah, Chris loved the Color Rush. I hated them. LOL, I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick a few weeks ago. He said they were his favorite jerseys. Really? That feels wild to me. Chris, what's up, dude? Please like and support, subscribe to the channel. Ryan deserves it. Great content creator. Person and fan. Chris. You're a good dude. Crossfire says, I have a good feeling about this year and this year's draft picks. In Glenn and Mooj, we trust. Yeah, I like our first 3 a lot, and I think there's rationalization that I can make for the other 4 that we made during the draft. I do think they were overdrafted based on where people seem to have them projected, but Glenn's a scout. You got to kind of lean on it, right? Give him a little benefit of the doubt for a year or 2, and then we could really assess it, after that. We're not getting rid of him after a year or 2 anyway. And Aaron makes a good point. Not if Taylor is freaking good. That could help Garrett. Yeah, like if we're going to focus on wide receiver, tight end, running back as our top 3 like target share people, I don't care about wide receiver 2. I think Corley and Lazard would see probably more opportunities with the ball than whoever we draft at wide receiver 2. Like I think Mason Taylor is more important than whatever that wide receiver we could have gotten that stage was. Like, is it worth burning a year of a wide receiver with Fields when you're going to be feeding the ball to Garrett and the tight end? I don't think it is. I think, if anything, if you're going to move off Fields next year, pull the trigger on a big time, wide receiver next year in one of the rounds or in free agency. Arch might be staying another 2 years. Yeah, I think he's at least staying this year. He'll make the determination based on who has the first pick. If it's a team that, like, he would like to play for, then I think he'll come out. I do think his NIL money is going to be really good. But if he knows he's going to be the number 1 pick, it'd be silly not to come out. Now, if the Browns have the first pick and he says, I'm not playing for the Browns, he'll go back to college for another year, and that's totally fine too. I heard one of Smith's injuries was his wrist, which may have contributed to his drops. How many drops did he have before this year? I clicked out of my PFF, so I don't know offhand, but let's see if I can. Oh, let's see if I can find it. Let's see. All right, college football reference. Does it tell us drops in here? Scoring. Oh, it's not going to tell me drops on this. I'm out of his PFF, so I don't know offhand. He didn't have a lot of reps the prior few years, though. That's the issue. If AG gets Clemens to play on the field like he did his rookie year, that would be awesome. Maybe. I mean, I don't get the feeling that he's going to be on the team. I think it's just a cap savings move is what they'll wind up doing. Make no mistake, this team is building for 27. I agree. I think it's you're seeing what the roster is while giving yourself a fair opportunity swing at Justin Fields as quarterback. And I think if he doesn't work out or is like middle of the pack, you're going to see them really go hard for a quarterback next year, and Fields could be the bridge. Or Fields could be the guy for the next 2 years. Who cares? 3 years even. If you take a first-round quarterback and your rookie has to sit for 2 or 3 years, like Love had to sit, you're not taking advantage of the rookie contract and getting the benefit of that salary cap relief. But if you end up with a franchise quarterback, who gives a shit? So who knows? But I do think 27 is, if we're looking for like, hey, when are we going to be like strongly competing? 27 would be my guess. But I'm looking for wins this year, baby. AG will right the ship. What are your thoughts and comments on on JD's comments about Gibbs? I mean, it would have blown me away if they went with Michael Carter second, then Breece Hall, then Jahmyr Gibbs. That's a wild draft in 3 years. I mean, they're clearly looking for explosive, here's one play, this guy can go to the distance type of player. I don't know. Maybe they thought Breece might not have come back after the injury that year. It is wild to me to think that was the decision. Although that was the year we took Will McDonald, right? I would rather Will McDonald, or now in hindsight, I would rather Will McDonald because we don't have the edge rushers. But if you could have kept Huff and the defense together, Jahmyr Gibbs is crazy. Crazy. How do you think the wide receiver room will work out? I think we're kind of set on it. I don't think we're bringing anyone else in. I don't think it's a great wide receiver room, but I don't think we're going to utilize it much either. Outside of Garrett. Do you want to draft a quarterback to play him in his first year or let him sit behind Fields for a year? Sit behind Fields. I mean, if he wins it, he wins it, I guess. But I don't want to see us throw a guy into the fire. I'd rather the Jets actually let a guy sit and learn. Although that might mean bringing in another veteran quarterback. Like I like what the Giants did in the sense of you have Russ, you have Jameis. Dart really is not going to get an opportunity to start until maybe the very end of the year to get a few reps under his belt prior to deciding if you want to re-up Jameis or Russ for an additional year. I like burying the number one quarterback potential a little bit further, like down the depth chart. Do you think we sign any free agents on the street now? Who do you think is going to be kick and punt returner? We got a few undrafted free agent guys that seem like they could be good fits at punt returner, kick returner. So we'll see where that goes. All right, boys and girls. That's my rough analysis on the undrafted free agents based on the little bit of research we did. We basically, the whole first hour of the stream, if you didn't watch what the UDFAs were, we kind of went through the different PFF grades, stats, brief blurbs of the guys. There's only so much memory stuff I can have going on in my head with players that may or may not make this roster. So I like some of the guys we got. Brady Cook, the kicker, Fatarama Mulba, or whatever the hell his name is, the D tackle. I like that. I like the running back from Michigan. pretty happy with where we stand right now. Just adjust your expectations for where you think we're going to be, and you know what? Be happy with where we end up, hopefully. I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.